Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining our session on how automation plays a role in digital transformation. My name is Anthony Rodriguez, Vice President at KETIV, and I'm happy to be here today with several members of our team and a customer that you'll meet in a bit. Some of you were with us last session when we had a session on how data management plays a role in digital transformation. I'll be recapping a little bit about that session, but for those of you who aren't familiar with KETIV, I wanted to start by sharing with you our focus and why today's event's important. At KETIV, we believe that our role is to empower manufacturers throughout the US and their locations throughout the world for a better tomorrow. And what better time than doing that today with all of the industry trends, adjusting, changing, new technology available that we'll begin to hear about in a bit. And that's really what guides us, what we're enthusiastic about, what excites us as we come to work every day is really working with you, our customers, and helping you look for that better tomorrow in your business and better tomorrow for your customers. Before we go ahead and get started, I want to do a quick introduction and have everyone introduce themselves on the panel today. Again, my name is Anthony Rodriguez. I'm Vice President of KETIV. And let's go around to everyone and please do an introduction. I apologize, Max. I don't know why your picture is not showing, but you look great on the panel. So go ahead, Max.
Yeah, he's there.
No worries. I can start. Thank you, Anthony. My name is Max. I'm managing the enterprise team here at KETIV. I have a passion and significant experience helping manufacturing companies with e-commerce, CPQ, automation, transformation, and innovations for both B2B and B2C, and helping companies to how to kind of go through a successful digital transformation. And I'm happy to be here today.
Thank you, Max. Grayston.
Yeah, so I'm KETIV's consulting solutions and manufacturing process expert. I have quite an extensive background in engineering and really release to production workflows. So I've been at the company now for about 6 years, and it's been interesting to see how digital transformation has played a role really in our day-to-day jobs.
Thank you, Grayston. And by the way, Grayston's actually has a formal education. He's in the process of going through at Cornell University on this topic. So I look forward to the panel and hearing some of your comments, Grayston.
Yeah,
Alex,
absolutely.
thank you again for joining us. It's been a pleasure having you as a customer and working with your company over the years. Why don't you go ahead and do a quick introduction?
Thank you, Anthony. Hey, guys. My name's Alex Fardian. I'm the Director of Global Solutions for Tomra Food, formerly known as Compact. We provide post-harvest solutions and services to the global food industry. My group particularly focuses on engineering, sales support, and project delivery, consisting of solutions engineers, project management, an installation group. My background over the years has been in the material handling and fruit packaging and industry. So anything that moves, that's basically what I do.
Great. And what better business to be in than food, especially this last year? I know I've done my share of eating, Alex. So look forward to hearing more about what you're doing in your business in a bit. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into a handful of slides to talk about our topic today. And then I'll have all of you gentlemen join us in a bit and we'll start the panel. Thank you. So you know a little bit about KETIV's vision and purpose and where we're headed. And really it's, that we feel it's our obligation to stay in tune with the trends going on in our industry. And all of us, I'm sure, see multiple trends happening, whether it's increased population, new ways of manufacturing, automation, which is our topic today, is a big part of manufacturing and planning going forward. And we feel our role is, again, to stay ahead and stay in tune with what's happening and understand where there's opportunities for our customers. And we feel the trends that are happening today really can help customers and help us in a few areas. They'll help us rethink the things we make, the products we're making, how we make those products, and the way we actually do the work to accomplish those as we look into the future. And as we look back, in like early 2000s, a good example, where if we look at that was another big shift in the industry and an opportunity you could look at to embrace newer technology that came out or not. And when we look at the Fortune 500 companies that were around in 2000, only half of those companies survived. And I think it's important for us all to step back and look at our business and say, can we embrace some of the new trends going on, some of the technology available to create a new opportunity as we go forward? And that's really what today is all about. How do we create better products? How do we do that in a way that helps us win more business? How do we improve how we make these products from an efficiency standpoint? And by having all of our employees work on more valuable tasks and work, can we create a more innovative environment and come up with new ideas, new revenue streams, new ways of going about our business? And this isn't new, change isn't new for KETIV, it's not new for you. KETIV has been around since almost going on 40 years now. We've helped many customers, I'm looking at the list here today, move from paper to 2D, from 2D to a 3D type environment. And more recently, we've all looked at taking the data we've put in a digital format and looked at how do we embrace digitization? How do we optimize that data to help us perform better going forward? And again, there's really kind of three areas we look at. How can that help us rethink how the things we make, the kind of products we make based on new manufacturing opportunities that exist, based on cloud computing and computing at a cost that is unheard of in the past? What opportunities do we have to make things more efficiently? And how can we reallocate our workforce to work smarter, better, and on things that will drive innovation going forward? All the products that I know our customers, and I see many of you in the list here, are making are becoming more complex. There's more connectivity options. There's more digitization within the product we're actually making that presents an opportunity. Again, how we make things has been changing over the last many years. And today we're seeing customers embrace new manufacturing mechanisms, robots, automation, different ways of printing material to recreate their product line. And all of this happens in response to helping our customers embrace the kind of products we're creating. And we want to improve our customer engagement going forward. And so like I started with, we see this as an opportunity for KETIV, for our technology partners, and for our partners, our customers, to re-look at their business and think about how can I take this as an opportunity to create a better outcome for our businesses and our customers going forward. And at KETIV, we see our role in this digital transformation being one that not just provides you the technology you need to run your business, but we look at our customers' business in really four areas. We look at our customer, okay? You're selling your product to a customer. You then sell your product, so you have sales and marketing department. You engineer and you make the product. So it's a simple way to look at how most of our customers are organized. And where KETIV plays a role is helping you bridge a gap between each of those areas of your business. So from a customer standpoint, can they configure? Can they get pricing? Can they interact with what they want to purchase early in the process? And does that information move into sales in an efficient way? And when sales needs to respond to maybe a new product request or quote, can they get from engineering what they need in a timely, efficient manner in a way that allows them to present and sell your product under the right expectations that you set? And then on the back end between engineering and manufacturing, once you have an order, how do we release that information to manufacturing? And are there opportunities to automate everything from part numbering that has to happen through programming equipment so that we can actually run these machines to make the products we need in an efficient way? All of this is managed through a product data platform that needs to connect with business systems you already own today. All of you own tools that are responsible for customer relationships, manufacturing resource planning, ERP solutions in place. And KETIV understands that we need to connect the right data to the right systems as we go forward. So as we go through our panel, think about KETIV's role in helping you bridge some of these areas, helping you automate certain tasks that may be redundant or error prone, so that all of your employees can work on projects and work that will help you drive innovation going forward, and the goal of helping you improve your customer experience and engagement. So I look forward to jumping into the panel now, guys. I'm going to kickstart the panel discussion with a question. I'll stop sharing for a minute. And before we jump into our first question, I'd love our audience to go ahead and answer some polls. We'd like to get some feedback from all of you. We'll pause for a minute until you go ahead and answer some of these questions. We'll share the results and then we'll begin the panel discussion. The first question's ending, and we're going to share. Everyone should be able to see some of these responses, and we'll notice that it's a pretty mixed environment in terms of where we believe we can automate process to improve our business. We have it broken down in the front end from the proposal request and response, the engineering tasks, releasing to production, and then integrating with business systems. And it looks like it's a pretty even response in terms of where we believe there's opportunity. So let's close this and we'll go to one more question and then we'll jump into the panel. And really what we're trying to understand as we work with customers, we're finding that more and more of our customers have an initiative around digitization or digital transformation. They're assigning roles to a position to focus on looking at their business and where they can improve. They're assigning budgets and other things to make sure that they're not left behind and they're embracing these opportunities. And so we're curious how many of you have a real initiative around this process and look forward to helping you along your journey. So it looks like about 2/3 do have something formal in place and the other third does not yet. So that's great. That really helps us and make sure that we're answering questions in the panel that are relevant to you. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into the question. And Alex, I hope you don't mind, but I'd love to just start with something broad and have you take a stab at the first answer. And really it has to do with this digital transformation theme we've been talking about. It's the term has been around for a while. Some people think it may be a buzzword in the industry. Others are really embracing it and seeing it drive and impact their business. So I guess I'm curious, and I'm sure the audience is what does digital transformation mean to you and your business?
Yeah, thanks, Anthony. So digital transformation to me as an engineer by heart is really the adoption and leveraging digital technology to increase the organizational efficiency. My company or my group has been in this journey because it is a journey like most other initiatives. We really look at automations in tasks and replace these manual methods that are prone to human errors. They're cumbersome, labor intensive, and they're slow. So I look at this at both ends for internal and external perspective. Me as a company, how can we be efficient? And what are our product offerings for our customers, for them to be efficient? So, we implement these digital methods in our day-to-day operations, and we externally develop these digital solutions to our customers for the same purpose.
Oh, that's great, Alex. And I'll have some follow-on questions for you on that in a bit. Max, your experience is quite different than some of the other employees at KETIV in that you've been in the CPQ, configure, price, quote market for more than 20 years, really working with manufacturing sales teams. Tell us what digital transformation means to you and your experience.
Great question, Anthony. And it's pretty much aligned with what Alex described, actually, the workflow. It's all about connecting customer to product and factory and streamline the processes. And this is one of the pillars, the way I look at it. But just to specifically what it does mean to me, actually, it could be, it could mean different things, but to me, it's not a product, it's not a solution, it's definitely not a, some organization look at it as an isolated IT project. To me, it's actually the key to survive in this age of disruption is how you can continuously actually improve your processes, which involves technologies, ways of working to compete successfully through continued innovation. To me, it also, it must encompass technology, culture, processes, all in concert with another.
That's a great response, Max, and you're so right. I mean, culture you mentioned is important to just about everything we do today. And one of the questions I have later in the conversation will be about that. But before we jump in there, Grayston, why don't you give us your perspective?
Yeah. So my perspective is mainly coming from an engineering standpoint. When we first started looking at digital transformation when I was working in industry, it was just mainly about how do we get our products out the door faster while ensuring that the quality isn't going to be impacted for that. Traditionally, it'd be you throw additional manpower at it. We took the route of looking at automation. If there are things in a project that we do every single time, cool. Let's capture that, get the standards down, write some automation around it, get rid of those manual processes, and then start sending out that data to the shop. Being able to automate that, turn it into digital formats, you're not dealing with paper running around everywhere. I think everybody's had an instance where you go to a shop and they're working on like a rev that's 2 versions old. So it's a little concerning. So, digital transformation, be able to solve that problem was a big push for us.
Yeah, no, that's great, Grayston. And what you said reminds me, a good 20, 30 years ago where almost every company that I would talk to would talk about going paperless. And it took a long time to go paperless. And you could argue most companies still are not there. But over this last year, one of the things I noticed and have learned is, in the beginning of going through a year like none of us have seen through the COVID and the pandemic is, in the beginning, we're figuring out how to survive. How do we continue to run our business? How do we keep things going? And over this last, I'd say 4 or 5 months, as I talk to customers, and I hear from many of you as you're talking to customers, we hear companies really beginning to embrace and act on this digital transformation journey. In the past, there was a lot of conversations about it. In fact, there was a lot of preparation and planning around, what is our plan to transform our business going forward based on the digital tools available today. But I'm beginning to see companies intentionally act and really move in that direction. So I guess I'm curious if one of you would like to take the question of, over this last year, why is digital transformation more important than it's ever been in today's environment?
I can go ahead and start on that one, Anthony. So
go for it, Alex.
Yeah, so I run a global group and I support a global portfolio of customers and partners. And sad to say, 2020, it was a pandemic when it started, but it really showed that we were prepared to do it. We used to travel a lot, meet with this, but digitally we were as effective as we were in 18 and 19. So the digital tools in comparison to the manual methods that used to be implemented didn't really prove any lag, or in fact it was improvised, the speed of it. And I think the wave of the industry and our customers demanding for transformation of automation, data analysis, data intelligence in our equipment and solution is really mandatory. If we don't do it, I know our competitors will, or some other startup in the industry solution that we haven't thought about will make a new idea out of it. So it really is not just a one-time event, but it's a living, growing being that a company should start now if they haven't.
Yeah, no, that's great perspective, Alex. Anything, Grayston, Max, you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, I would like to actually echo the same what Alex is referring to. Is to me, is like the way I look at it, the world is not static. As well, we realized massive global changes actually been shifting the way we live, work, do business, and this experience has actually changed expectations from B2B and B2C as well, which requires actually organizations to kind of completely rethink the teams, the processes, the technologies to stay really competitive. Because if they have not started on this transformation journey yet, then they will be behind. To stay competitive and also the leader in the space, they have to have an early stage right now to hop on in this journey. And what we see also, the agility is one of the key. The way I look at it is companies need to actually become more agile. This is the new way of the expectations on the market to respond quicker to the changes on the environment as well as on the competition side, implementing a strategy kind of to handle product information, closing gaps between engineering, manufacturing, and then the other traditional silos that were created already there, that brings such an agility and alignment needed to drive this to the new world that we are, actually the new normal that we work in right now.
Yeah, yeah, and both of you have alluded a lot in your response to this to the customer, right? And the customer is really what's driving a lot of this. The customer's expectations, their demands, what they want, what makes them comfortable, the interaction and engagement they expect is changing. And really everything we're doing as we talk about digital transformation is to make that experience for our customer better. And Grayston, I'd love to get your perspective on it, because while you spend a lot of time working on improving the design, engineering, the manufacturing flow, when I talk to you, I know you always begin with our customer's customer in mind. And that's really where the investment starts. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of the conversations that we have with KETIV's customers around how are our customers going to capture, say, more of a market share. There's typically issues with, how do I put this? Everybody wants their product faster. They want it now, right? With be more efficient, with be leaner. And it's how do we start incorporating, different tools and processes to accomplish that goal. I'd say if anything over 2020 has been more of, we have to learn how to adapt to survive. We had a large shift internally where, I mean, my job had me traveling all over the country for multiple weeks out of the month, and we don't do that anymore. It was a big shift to going from doing everything in person manually, right, versus incorporating digital tools like Zoom meetings like we're doing on today, and being able to get those recordings, and then how can we better leverage those. It's been an interesting process, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, that's great, Grayston. And again, going back to this all being about our customer's customer, it would be great if I could get all of you to maybe share some real life examples of, Alex, in your case, results you've seen from some of the improvements you made. And Max and Grayston, we work with thousands of manufacturing companies all over the country and world. Maybe an example or two of where you've seen some of these, this journey make a big impact. I know a lot of these conversations are confidential, but without a customer name, you can talk about some stories where we've seen this impact companies that exist today. But Alex, why don't you go ahead and start maybe with some examples of some things you've done in your business and the outcome you've seen as a result of them.
Yeah, so I could provide two distinct examples of digital transformation. So, how we look at our business is usually an assessment, and when we look at our assessment, we look at our efficiency, and usually it's the speed and the accuracy of what we do to serve our customers. And I would suggest or advise that to go through these digital transformation is just to establish a group in particular for that initiative to start. And then you leverage a number of consultants that you would refer to as industry experts, because it's not really scalable for my group to tackle such initiatives.
Hmm.
And, we establish a roadmap and a goal, and, you could call it, I think we have a program that is what we fondly call as customer centricity. So it's called an advanced customer experience. And that really focuses on providing a solutions to customers seamlessly. And we make sure that these partnerships are done through design analysis in preparation for their growth and future. So to place that in fruition, we look at a 3D customer facing tool that we can design on the spot. And we leverage a 3D scanning tool while we look at their existing equipment. We convert that to digital. We add our digital drawing into it where they can see what their new pack house would look like. Compared to, I'm going to draw, come back in a few days. We looking at the table, we decide you don't like it. I go back and the drawing table and come back. If you look at that process, it will take at least weeks. So that's what we have now working with KETIV. And then the ambition we're leveraging now is to configure, price, and quote. So I know Max, before he joined KETIV, is our ambition is while we design this 3D pack house that you see, we can price it and give you a proposal on the spot. And I think as far as just the speed and the labor intensive process, we can save money on that. And I think the volume and the market share of quoting will increase, because sometimes there are experiences that we just don't quote because it's too much work. We have to travel and measure, and then this customer is too demanding. But with digital tools, we're not afraid to quote anything, even for the tire kickers, because it's just easy to do it now.
Oh, that's great, Alex. And you mentioned, I know I asked you this, and I'm sure the audience may be curious. You said pack house a couple of times. Tell us more about this pack house. What are you referring to?
So if you just imagine an Amazon, so that's more material handling equipment. When you order boxes, it goes to these sortation systems, and it goes to this packaging, labeling. So it, when you order, it delivers to you on the spot. So just imagine a box is a fruit. So we take these fruit coming out of the orchards from farmers, we sort by color, by size, by defects, and put them in boxes and put this in the supermarket. So when you look at the groceries, and if you look at apple, and if you look at an orange or mandarins, that came to a process, and that process most of the time came from us with the inspection test systems and palletizing and packaging systems.
Oh, that's great, Alex. Thanks for sharing that. Max and Grayston, talk about some examples you may have heard of recently where we've either helped or you've heard customers go through, begin this journey, and what impacts they've seen, and some of the specifics around what they've implemented.
Hey, I'll just jump in here. I know you're going to be more on the CPQ side, so maybe I'll talk a little bit more on the engineering side here. A lot of the time, the customers that I deal with are looking at incorporating automation. We've had more than a few customers start off just on AutoCAD. They are doing all of their work with lines, arcs, and circles. You're getting into extensive lead times. It's taking weeks to get some of these projects out. And a big driver for them is it's just not sustainable. Like, you can't scale, right? If you want to increase your revenue by X amount, you can't just throw people at the problem. It's what's the more intelligent way of getting about it? How can you be more efficient? And it's really looking at transferring from, say, the AutoCAD world to leveraging 3D models with like Inventor and getting those engineering configurators set up. After that, the sky's kind of the limit. Once you have the engineering configurators done, you can start looking at how am I going to put my material into an ERP software. So some of my past background experience is using like Epicor, for instance. And we had a process in place where after we figured out some of our automation techniques, we could automatically feed that into the ERP system in a specific format, send that out to the shop. Everybody in procurement was able to grab those bill of materials accurately. We don't have to worry about copying, pasting, and stuff like that. It just gets into this world of, I don't know, it's easy at that point, right? I don't have to think too much. I can focus on the hard stuff while I automate 80% of the problem. And on average, I mean, we see reductions of close to 60 to 80% in just on lead times by incorporating some digital tools. It's fascinating.
Yeah, no, that's great. I know I've heard customers say, and I used to hear this a lot when companies, years and years ago would made the shift from 2D to 3D, is my job is fun again. And I think what I hear customers say is it's an opportunity to rethink not just their job, but their department and their business and how their customer works with them. It's fun, right? It's fun to create an impact. We're all making products that affect the world. We all see, we use, we embrace, and having the ability to kind of rethink how that gets done makes our job fun again. And I know I'm having fun. Grayson and Max talk often about this. Having fun just with the opportunity to do that. But Max, why don't you give us some examples of customers and how you've made their job more fun?
Yeah, great point. Yes, every day what we do actually help our customers to help their customers. That's fun. That success spreads out pretty quickly. What we see also is that the fun is that automate actually the manual tasks to kill the boredom for engineers, but allow them actually to not have the bottlenecks there, to allow them to work more on the custom things. Because the way we see right now in working with our customers, custom keep actually turning to becoming a new standard. And to help our customers to shift that, and not only focusing on the engineering side on automation, a lot of customers invest tons on the ERP, CRM. It's more about a connected system. How can you get the real value is to extend that automation and availability all the way to their customers. So which means customers is not our customers that can actually visit their website and type in their requirements, not just configure or buy a typical product, but the product that fits and cater their need. That is the key. That's the shift we see with the technology being allowed right now. And I'm actually happy to see that Autodesk is on top of the game, that already providing that platform, which is called Forge, to allow the customer to actually get all analytics, not just on the front end, to have the visual configuration or visually see exactly what you configure with augmented reality supportive CPQ connected to the CRM, ERP, engineering, PLM, PDM, but also more importantly, learn about the customer journey, what their needs are in different market, and quickly adopt to that. That's what we have actually experienced with our customers right now, that we help them to have a better understanding and also get a better visibility over the market shift.
That's great, Max. And you said something that I know resonated with me, and I've heard from customers is today, over the last 10, 20 years, customers have bought a lot of software. There's no shortage of software, even within KETIV, trust me, on what we use to get our job done. And what we hear and what's more common is, I don't want more software. I want my software to work better together. Right. And we're seeing kind of a theme there. And before I go invest in more software, how do I get my software to work better together? And you mentioned connectivity, Max, and that's an important part of that, which my slide referred to earlier, and we'll pull that back up in a bit. But I guess it'd be good to talk about now, we saw in the poll, everyone, a good 2/3 had an initiative to embrace this digital transformation journey. And another third has not yet begun and hasn't started. Where do you begin? If you're a company out there who, you've gone 2D to 3D, you have a lot of software in place, your business is doing fine, but there's opportunity looking forward. Where do you begin the journey? Alex, you want to start that?
That's a tough question. I mean, I think we would be guilty, would be involved in a clutter of these digital initiatives. But what I would suggest is to look at all of your processes as a company that require a digital makeover, and look at the low-hanging fruit. No pun intended in my business, but for me, example is we looked at our non-conformance numbers by dollar value in 2019, and it was a lot. but it wasn't really just, it was just there to track, but we wanted to improve upon it. So, we decided to do project quality initiatives. And our goal is to reduce this NCs by 2020 by 30% for our department. And we looked at that because we wanted to tackle what's most relevant to our business. So that was our goal. Eventually, with that focus and that the analysis in mind, we can leverage data analysis. And for this particular one, we used Power BI to look at these issues. And I know we talked about connectivity and collaboration. We were siloed from the front end. And the reason why we were siloed in the front end, it wasn't really because the person was bad. It's just we didn't have the tools to properly handshake and processes to the rest, from solutions engineering to project engineering to project management to installation. If you make a mistake in the front end, it really just snowballs and cascade, and the dollar value just increases, the time, the angry customers, it's all connected. And when we did this initiatives, we created this process and we added some digital tools to do that. Surprisingly, we dropped our NCs by 150% with just that simple rule to do it. And I'm really proud of that, to do that. But I think that journey is still ongoing because I think we still have a number to improve.
That's a perfect example, I think, Alex, of when we say a journey, what that means. Digital transformation isn't something you buy. It's not something you figure out overnight or you implement right out of the gate.
It could be as easy as a guy looking at a 2D drawing and missed a post going through a conveyor.
Yeah.
With a 3D drawing, you can clearly see that. And people always think that 3D is just a fancy thing to look. It really is an efficiency tool.
You got it. Yeah. And that's, at KETIV, when we think about automation and the role it plays in digital transformation, because it is a journey, we break it into two parts. We look at, are there redundant tasks or repetitive tasks that happen, and can we automate tasks that engineers, salespeople, manufacturing do? And then there's process-based automation. So what's a workflow maybe between departments or between groups? And a lot of times there's opportunity there. And I think when we talk about a journey, we say that because, like inventing a product, sitting in a room and trying to think about the next great product doesn't work. But starting by talking to customers, talking to departments, brainstorming with groups is really what leads you to that next innovation. And the same thing happens in digital transformation. Transforming your process and your company is an innovation. And it takes a process to go through to come up with ideas. Max, anything you want to add to that?
I think you and Alex covered most of it, but one thing I would re-emphasize again, that as you mentioned, one thing that I have seen the key factor has been leadership alignment, as well as on the cultural and business side, to just really make sure that everyone is actually taking this journey as and contributing to this together, and everything, they are up to date with the strategy moving forward. And that alignment has been actually key. Then they all know the goal that they're driving towards and what they can do and contribute with. So the alignment within the leadership as well as on the cultural and business side has been an important factor there as well.
Yeah, and you said together, Max. I think that's so important and meaningful, especially in this journey. I mean, for us, we embrace digital transformation ourselves at KETIV, and anytime we look at a new way of doing things, we talk about together. And together for us means our customers, it means our technology partners, Autodesk and Ansys, and it means our employees. And having alignment amongst all three is key to make this effective. Grayston, any advice on where to begin for the audience?
Yeah, I mean, if there's, it's one of those things, you don't know what you don't know, right? What I try to do is break down really an organization into like any 4 major phases. So any place you work with is going to run through the same 4 things, and that's sourcing, You have organizational operations, you get into how you handle with customers, and then the after sales process. So if you take a look at your organization from that context and you break it down to those 4 phases, you can really start looking at what are each of those steps and how are you digitizing it. So there's kind of like 5 major breakdowns. So for instance, if I was looking at sourcing, and that's, how do I obtain materials? How do I get my software? How do I interact with people across my supply chain? You can break out a few different things in there, come up with some ideas, and then start categorizing them as like analog. That would be, we don't use any digital tools. It's manual process. We send paper documents everywhere. It's not being tracked. The next point might be digital collection. And that's where we're taking stuff, we're collecting it, we're holding on to it. We're using these tools. This could be like Word, Excel, your emails are typically data collection. The next phase would then be how you're going to be sharing it. So say that was going to be, we collect the data, now I'm going to be distributing it. So this would be like HubSpot, Salesforce, NetSuite. Okay, everybody can kind of get in there and see this stuff. The harder areas are always analysis and then automated decisions. And this is really that next step where we talk about getting into automation. It's, hey, we got all this stuff. How do we analyze it? Maybe we get into like vault dashboards with corrective action reports or ECOs. You start getting into quality dashboards if you're having a lot of issues downstream. And then the AI decisions are, okay, we've now tracked all of this stuff. Can we automate how we're going to adjust? If you're talking about food processing, right, we're going to slow down feed rates on the conveyors so that we're not going to have as many issues with scanning. You can do this with almost every facet of your organization. And if you just spend maybe 30 minutes just taking a look at all this stuff, it's crazy the amount of ideas that you can kind of come up with. It's enlightening.
Yeah, no, that's great, Grayston. And that is another great example of it is a journey, right? Those 4 stages you talked about. If
Yep.
I go and talking to customers, if we tried to figure out what automated decision making we wanted as step 1, we would not act on anything. We'd be trying to figure out
Nope.
that. Right? And those answers come
Yeah.
through the journey, through the process. Am I right in thinking that way, Craig?
Yeah, absolutely. You have to start somewhere. Most of the time, you don't even realize that you're doing something analog. I guess we'll just use the same term. It's just part of your day-to-day process. You don't even think about it. But it's as you take each one of those steps, the next stage becomes more, more clear. It's not as fuzzy. We know exactly how to get to that next point. Yes, if you look at the top of Mount Everest, it's quite daunting, but you got to get to base camp first, right?
Yeah. No, that's great, Grace. And like any journey, things don't go perfect, I imagine, right, guys? Alex, can you talk about any lessons learned from what you've done so far in your business?
Yeah, so when we look at this initially, and I'm sure everyone has done this digital transformation, there's always roadblocks and challenges, and the fear of data is too big, too risky to change. We still have to do our daily jobs, and we still have to do our performance metrics. There's tribal knowledge and organizational culture that Max talked about, that we were successful in the old way. Why should we change it? There's the resource and skill constraints. And then we get lost in this clutter of digital initiatives because there's too many to handle and too many to change. So what we would advise really, Anthony, is just to leverage experts in the industry, such as yourself. If it's ERP, if it's CRM, you really want to leverage these experts to guide you. And you create these teams that work with these experts so that they can share what they want to achieve, what their obstacles, and then you share that. I know Grayston mentioned you don't know what you don't know, and that's very true. We are so stuck in our business, we don't know what's new out there, and that's why I always emphasize, even in our team, to leverage experts in the industry. I would rather do that than to do our own research, which is time consuming, and we don't even know how to approach it. I think if there's any suggestions that I would do, that would be it.
Oh, that's great insight, Alex. And I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the panel now, but I think just to recap, I heard a lot of great information. I'm sure customers have questions for us, which we'll respond to some in a bit. But really, the theme was about a few areas. One is our customer, right? How do we make our customers' experience better? That's really what this is all about. And the second was not to wait to get started, and the journey concept, right? Is not, we're not going to have all the answers in the beginning, but by getting started and using some of the practices we use to innovate a new product, to innovate our process, to reinvent our company going forward, is a way to start. Start with something, a task, a process, and ideas will come and keep moving forward. And then doing this together, which is your final thought, Alex, is let's not try to figure this out alone. I know at KETIV, we're a big believer in sharing information freely, working together. Not everything we do needs to lead itself to new software or more technology, but how can we do things together better with the tools and the people we have in place today? And I enjoyed the conversation. I'm sure everyone else did as well. Before we wrap up, Max, Grayston, any final thoughts before we jump to the final slides here?
No, I think we were able to cover most of it. I look forward to any questions if they have, so I would be glad to answer.
Yeah,
Great.
absolutely.
Great. So I'm going to pull up the question. I think one of the questions we did get, Max or Gray, maybe you can take this, is, somebody brought up analytics, and Grayston, I think you talked a little bit about, automated decision making, and the question has to do with what kind of analytics can you get from a solution like we're talking about to help create better decisions.
Yeah, I mean, I talked a little bit about this. So if you're looking at analytics, it's typically like, what are you trying to find out, right? There's typically a goal in mind. If it's something around like quality, okay, so how do we track quality? We can look at, ECOs or corrective actions, right? So ECOs are going to be, hey, something happened on the shop floor. We need to come up with a fix with it. How often is this happening? Well, now that we know how often it's happening, can we track down, what's causing it? Right, that'd be the next question. Like, we have to start fixing this thing so you get into preventative action. So the analytics have to be more of their own journey, I guess, right? So we're talking about state of digitization and how we move that process. Analytics are really their own little source. So what I also recommend is if you look at the 5 whys, so that's going to be, if you ask why 5 times, you typically get to the root of the problem. So with analytics, you try to go through the same exact process of, okay, why is it a problem? All right, well, why is that problem happening? Okay, well, why is that cause happening? And then you start going down this ladder. That's what I'd be hoping to get out of digitization and analytics.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, and you're right. Analytics is so broad. There are different analytics and that our customers need, our sales team needs, our engineers and production needs. Max, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, to just echo the same thing what Grayston mentioned, I'm looking at it more kind of what the customer I've worked with is on the front end. They want to more and capture to see how the market share is actually driving anything that they make the selection on the product side, on the configuration side, from the CRM and CPQ platform or commerce platform, is to capture that and analyze maybe for certain market best products are not being sold at all. So all those are actually very valuable to quickly adjust and make sure that to kind of cater the right need for products for that need for that specific market. That was my experience with for Europe, Asia, and US. Organizations are actually offering multiple continents. That's AI is definitely kind of the analytics will definitely be an important factor for them to really learn and adopt quickly.
Oh, that's great input, Max. And I'm looking through the other questions, and it looks like we answered most of the other questions that came in earlier. So I'm going to go ahead and move to the last couple slides here. And just to recap, the conversation, we talked about digital transformation and really how it applies to the business. And at KETIV, again, we tend to look at your process from the beginning, and that's how customers work with you, what your customer expectations are, and look for tasks in each department that we can automate, or processes between departments that we can automate. And all of that's managed through a single data platform that needs to connect with your business systems. And so we're appreciate everyone joining today. A couple of ideas we had for next steps for those of you on the call are, if you're engineers, engineering managers, designers, Grayston and the team have put together an automation starter kit. And this automation starter kit will help you identify tasks to begin within your engineering group that you can start to automate. These may be tasks that take 5 minutes that you can turn into a minute, but every minute in our business makes a difference. And by starting small and continuing to progress, I'm confident you'll get a lot of ideas. And if you're a manager or director level person responsible for more of the overall business, we'd love to offer a couple of hours to spend time with Max and Grayston on just talking about your company, your business, for you to learn how we've helped other customers more specifically, and share with you a plan that we think you can potentially act on to begin your journey. So again, I want to thank Alex at Tomra for joining. It was a pleasure having you, Alex. I'm sure the audience appreciated your insight. Max and Grayston, always a pleasure with your real life experience, not just at one company, but the thousands of companies we serve all over the US. So thank you all again for joining. Audience, I appreciate your attendance, and we look forward to hearing from you all soon. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.